Welcome back, everyone. Pal Ponder on Weather here. We've got several rounds of severe storms, not only this week, but actually heading into the next week as well. So we're going to break down all the details for you so you can plan ahead and know what to expect. Let's start off with this powerful low pressure center here off the west coast. It actually dropped 33 millibars in the last 24 hours alone, and that is the culprit of bringing more heavy rains along the coastal regions of Oregon and back in the northern California too, as well as some high winds. That is going to traverse southbound, just skirting the coastal regions of California, bringing all the mountain snows in that area, and eventually headed into central and eventually southern California. But at the same time, we've got this pesky little stalled frontal boundary draped across portions of the deep south. It actually laid down some really large hail in the overnight hours near the Baytown area down here near Galveston. They actually had some golf ball, even up to potentially all the way up to almost 3-inch hailstones down there. And the very heavy rain that laid across portions of the southeast, and then yesterday really along the I-10 and I-20 corridor. So it's been a stalled frontal boundary, and they're still going to be having some more rain showers in that region today. In fact, there is the stalled frontal boundary just kind of really draped across the coastal regions there. And then the low pressure center that's really setting up shop across the west coast. That is going to be the mechanism that's providing all the lift, and the heavier winds are going to be pounding the coastline, bringing in more snow for portions of California, and all that heavier snows for the mountain regions. They've already seen record snow amounts for the Sierras, and they're going to be adding to those totals in the days to come. Here's the heavier rain setup for today. So it's mainly along the coastal regions, elongating from San Francisco all the way down into portions of central California. Yes, we could be looking at yet another 1 to 3 inches of rainfall in these yellow shaded areas, where you get into the green shaded areas, likely about another 1 to 2 inches of rainfall for those regions. But along the coastal regions and portions of the deep south, headed into the Florida Panhandle, again, right where that stalled frontal boundary is, taking advantage of those warmer sea surface Gulf of Mexico temperatures. Yes, we have to be concerned about, yes, more heavy rain in the heat of the afternoon down there. But if you are new to the channel, like detailed weather breakdowns, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel. And it's also important to hit the like button as well. It definitely helps out more than you know. And if you're in the market for a weather station, I highly recommend the Tempest WeatherFlow weather station. It's the one I personally had for about 3 years now. I had a lot of people taking advantage of this. It's a cool, convenient solar system. Download takes about 10 minutes to install, has this really convenient app, but it does provide a 10% discount code if you use my discount code at checkout, and free shipping. So if you'd like to purchase one of these, you can actually click on the link in the description below and order one for yourself. So let's take a look at the setup for tomorrow, because tomorrow this is kind of the down day. It's kind of the more calmer day, the calm before the storm. There's your low pressure center off the coast of California, bringing all the heavier rain showers for them. Then another low splits off across the middle of the country. That moves across portions of Utah. That is eventually going to be the culprit of our severe weather potentially outbreak that could unfold on Friday timeframe. But further to the south, that cold front, our little stalled frontal boundary, is going to be washed out. So nice, going to be a fairly decent day coming up for tomorrow on your Wednesday. And then as we go into Thursday, that low pressure center continues to dive southbound over across the west coast. It'll eventually just bring some sporadic showers into portions of Southern California and kind of fizzle itself out. At the same time, there's that low pressure center across the portions of the Rockies, bringing snow showers for portions of the western slopes of Colorado, while we're waiting for these winds to really start to turn around here across the deep south and across the southern plains. We do have a warm front that's going to be backing up across the upper Midwest. That's going to be setting the stage for some severe storms. But further south, we have to be concerned about some severe storms further south, and all on what they call a conditional risk, because we do have a pretty strong capping inversion in place. If we look at the latest surface then, this gives you an idea of that warmer air aloft. It's just basically like a protected lid about 4,000 to 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere Whenever you see that number really over negative 100, that's an ironclad, capping inversion. So if you have any type of forcing, any type of lift in the atmosphere, then that puts the squash on any thunderstorm development as they try to tower above that crucial 5,000 foot, range. And plus the forcing with this system slowing down, there's not much forcing left. So the risk for severe storms that did in fact have on Thursday has now substantially subsided, because the combination of the strong capping inversion as well as the forcing mechanism is still a lot further back, and the slowness of that upper trough moving across from west to east. But we still have some severe storms, but it's just a very conditional risk. It's not nearly the highlighted version we saw earlier in the week that could potentially unfold. Now, because of the timing and because of the capping inversion, that definitely eliminated good parts of Dallas, but it's pushed it back further into portions of western Texas, northwest Texas, including the Oklahoma City area. I'm not too concerned about Thursday, but yes, some of those could be on the strong, possibly marginally severe side if they're able to penetrate that capping inversion of that warmer air aloft within that atmosphere in the heat of the afternoon. But going into Friday, that's a different set. That's a different set of beasts, because we do have a significant jet streak that's going to be racing across the middle of the country. And then it's all about timing, and it does appear to be at its peak towards the peak heating of the afternoon. So this is going to be screaming across a good part of Oklahoma and far northeastern portions of North Texas, especially into the Arklatex, especially into Missouri, and heading into Illinois. Those are your favorite areas that we have to be on high alert for severe storms. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted this, and this is a significant risk this far out. And so I think it originates somewhere along the I-35 corridor eastbound, but really starts to get going in portions of far northeastern portions of Texas and East Texas, but especially into the Arklatex, getting into the Arkansas region, heading into Missouri, and heading into Illinois, with that slight risk extending all the way up into Indiana, Kentucky, heading into Tennessee. And that fishtails down further south back into Mississippi again, where the last thing they need is more severe storms for them. But here's the breakdown on the Colorado State University. So we're seeing multiple guidance here, pretty significant outbreak, not for severe storms, but it could be tornado. A lot of strong tornadoes within this area. So a lot of dynamics are really starting to come together to be in Friday is a significant day on the severe weather front, with all three modes are definitely on the table. So the area of concern is really elongating, especially in these three states of Arkansas and Missouri, and as well as into Illinois. So we have to be on high alert in the heat of the afternoon into the early evening time frame. And this could be a multi-state severe weather outbreak potentially, and seeing some significant tornado potential within this area. And if we take a look at the overall flash index, it kind of gives you an idea of where some of the instability could lie, where the storms could fire. This stops the clock around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think storms really start to initiate right there in far northeast Texas, especially heading into the Arklatex, back into Missouri, and back into Illinois. And it could actually extend as far north as Iowa here. We're going to have a low pressure center just to the northwest of there, where the snow is probably going to be flying in a good part of the Dakotas, as well as into central Minnesota. But further to the south, it's all about the instability, and it's widespread instability across this region. This will be racing across into the overnight hours on your Friday night, heading towards deeper into Kentucky by then, and heading towards more of Indiana. So if we take a look at some of the preliminary significant tornado parameters, like I mentioned, I think it really starts to set up in far extreme portions of northeast. I mean, they could be all the way back from east of the I-35 corridor, but it doesn't appear that Dallas is much of a play with this particular setup. It definitely appears further off to the east, northeast, especially into East Texas, but really gets going as you expect, going into Arkansas, going into Missouri, and especially Illinois for tornado potential with this region, as this will be racing across into the evening time frame on your Friday. So definitely appears Friday as your more significant day, and that will just extend even into Saturday. So starting off your day, starting off the month of April, those storms not nearly the same beast as what you're going to see on Friday, but you're still going to be getting some stronger storms in areas that really are not used to seeing some strong storms this time of year, but you're definitely going to be on the warm side, and that's going to be taking advantage of that instability, especially as you cross a good part of the right along the East Coast, and those could extend even to the New York area. Going to have to be on some alert up here in that region for some stronger storms as we head into your Saturday time frame. And there's a snow aspect of it too. So again, on the northwest side of that low pressure center, it's still going to be cold enough to snow. And of course, the Intermountain West, the Sierra Nevadas are going to be adding to those record totals they've already seen so far this year. They're like 280 something percent above average what they typically see in a normal year. So very significant snows for that region, definitely adding 2 to 4 feet more on that, on top of those record snow amounts. And then going to be draped across a good part of the Dakotas, back into Minnesota again, back into Minneapolis. They'll be adding to their totals as well, approaching almost close to 90 inches by then in Minneapolis, and northern portions of Wisconsin. And then, then heading up in Toronto, and as well as into Montreal, and especially into Maine. But even in the next week, things get ramped up again. It's just going to be a very active spring, and we're already looking at a lot of model congruency really starting to come together across the southern plains, back into portions, especially into Tuesday of next week, of early next week. Temperatures start to really surge. We're about look at that, 107 in Mexico, even hundreds into Texas, 97 in San Antonio, where those temperatures soar to the mid 90s, even probably likely 90 or low 90s, even in Dallas, as those warmer temperatures pull all the way further north into Oklahoma, into Kansas by then, as we'll have another fairly significant trough coming in off the west. We've seen this time and time again. But look at these Cape values now. Pretty extreme instability, even higher than possibly what we see this week, of that really significant dry line that'll be setting up across portions of West Texas. But yes, these are the areas that have to be in play by the time we head into your Tuesday, probably the April the 4th time frame, and then across the Dallas-Fort Worth area into East Texas, back into the Arklatex, back into Missouri again, and portions of Illinois. Some of the same areas could get hit again as we head into your Tuesday. There's the significant lift mechanism, as another powerful jet streak will be racing across. This one's screaming over 100 knots. So an early look. I mean, this is kind of scary, seeing this, some congruency with a lot of model guidance looking at like another possibly big event. Unfortunately, as we head into your Tuesday, could be as late as Wednesday time frame of next week. Obviously, we'll have to work on the timing of the exact details with this particular setup, but it definitely looks to appear another potential significant day on the table. Because look at the latest European guidance with that extreme, temp gradient on the dew points. You got the massive moisture and the warm sector, and the really extreme dry line that really sets up, and where that clash is, that's where you're going to have that significant play. And all three modes of severe weather is going to be on the table as we head into your Tuesday, possibly Wednesday time frame within this sector. If we break things down for you and look at some of the significant supercell index heading into the next week, starting from that 3rd, 4th, again, it could be the 4th and 5th time frame, but this is the favorite area that could see significant supercells back into Texas, back into Oklahoma, back into Arkansas, into Missouri, could extend as far north as Iowa, and even into Illinois. And it doesn't end there, because even beyond that, heading into that 10th and through the 16th week, that second week of April, still looks to be yet another possibly significant risk heading back into Texas by then, back into Oklahoma, back into Arkansas, Louisiana. So this is another favorite area as the atmosphere kind of regenerates again with more rounds of severe storms. So we're definitely appearing to be a very active setup in the weeks ahead. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me in the next update while I protect you before and after the storm.